and she will be answering them. Before we begin, I am happy to introduce the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West, Dov Ben Shimon, who is with us today to share a few words. Thank you, Dov, for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Dov Ben Shimon. I'm the CEO of our Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West. I'm so proud to welcome hundreds of friends here today for this live virtual Survivor Speaks program to hear from Hannah. Over the years, as I'm sure many of you know, the Holocaust Council of our Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West has impacted thousands of students through the Survivor Speaks program in schools. We know that having students hear from Holocaust survivors directly is a rare and truly special experience. So when the current pandemic began back in March, we were truly heartbroken to have to cancel survivors speaking in schools.
You don't care.
But we didn't sit still for too long. Thanks to the tremendous staff of the Holocaust Council, our Greater Metro West volunteers, and most importantly, our remarkable Holocaust survivors, we were able to get our survivors online and speaking again. We've been able to provide virtual Survivor Speaks over the last 2 months to schools and educators around the community. One survivor said, "When I was a child in Krakow, I didn't even have a telephone to call my friends and family on, and now from my apartment, I'm able to Zoom with my story of survival to students and teachers around the world." So today, we're really honored that we're able to provide an opportunity for the entire Greater Metro West family to hear from Hannah Wexler. I want to thank all of you for taking part, and my colleagues in our Holocaust Council and Federation leadership for putting this important meeting together. Thank you very much. Elise, back to you.
Thank you so much.
I can't hear a blessed word.
I'm so thrilled that everyone is coming in and joining us. Please make sure that you're muted, and if you haven't already, change the name on your screen so that it says your full name. Everyone could just take a moment to make sure they do that. Thank you. Hannah Wexler was born in a small town in Poland. She spent the war years hiding in Hungary before she was deported to Auschwitz, along with her parents and other family members. Over the years, Hannah has worked tirelessly to not only share the horrors of her story of survival, but she also strives to increase awareness about the horrors that exist in today's world and the need for all of us to take action and make a difference. Just a few weeks ago, we commemorated the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II and the Holocaust. We are so fortunate to have
You do it on your phone.
Can you please make sure you're muted? Thank you. We are so fortunate to have several survivors that are stopping at nothing, not even the current COVID-19 pandemic, to continue to tell their stories. It is so important to continue to share these for generations to come. And so, as you listen to Hannah, I am asking each of you to make a promise. If each of you can share this story, and I see our numbers climbing, so we're at 220 almost registrants, in addition to other people with them. If each person can promise to tell Hannah's story to somebody else in the next 24 hours, everybody will have shared and become a bearer and a witness to history. And with that, I'm just going to remind you one more time to please mute so that everyone can hear Hannah. I give you the remarkable Hannah Wexler. Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome. Welcome to everybody. I'm so happy that I see so many familiar faces. First of all, I would like very much to thank to the great group from Persephone. Those three ladies are unbelievable, pleasant. They give compliments galore that not are always accurate, but it makes another person feel well. I teach Holocaust until today for many, many years, at least 45 years. Teaching Holocaust was my mission in life because God gave me the right to survive in Auschwitz with a mother and a father in Dachau. I am an exception to the rule. In all my life until today, I never met a child or a grown-up old person that survived in Auschwitz with a mother and a father. I did. And because of that, I donate my time, my efforts to teach children about the Holocaust. I have to say it myself, that my approach to teaching the Holocaust brought a lot of children, a lot of good results. They changed their behavior because I tell them, and I mean it, that people that survived the Holocaust and live to open a new life, a new page in their life, are people that are very, very strong-minded, and we have to be grateful to God that He saved us, and therefore I teach Holocaust, I speak about the Holocaust, but I don't do it in a very morbid way. I do it in life, like today we have it, the coronavirus that really does to many people a lot of damage and a lot of anxiety. But if you ask me, in my opinion, it is very little to compare to Auschwitz, very little. And my message is, and I will repeat myself, my message is that if you survived Auschwitz, you can do anything in your life. Nobody can stop you from succeeding, from beating addiction, wild behavior, lying, lack of success in life. You have to know, young and old, that if there is a will, there is a way. A human being, if they put their mind to it, they can do anything what they want in order to succeed. And the young people that are listening here, and the older people, there is nothing that should stop you from succeeding and overcoming problems in your life, because life is a battle. And unless you fight, you don't succeed. This is my message. And never, ever, ever again should anybody have the indecency and the chutzpah to do what Hitler did to us, because it will never, ever, ever, ever happen again. My name is Hannah Wexler. I am a member of a dying generation, and my number is 88987. My husband, may he rest in peace, made it for me. I don't use it as my passport name, but I am very proud that I have it, and I have it on my hand, and it is there in order to remember that I was spared and God was good to me, and my husband made it. And like this, he takes part in this speech that I'm giving. The speech is done not only to change, but to encourage every human being. Where there is a will, there is a way. And you and me and everybody else that has the right and privilege to live in this America that was and will be a great country, we can do it, and you for sure can do it. I was a grandchild, an only grandchild to my parents' parents. Both parents, my grandparents on my mother's side that lived in Nowy Korczyn, and the grandparents on my father's side that lived in Poland. My parents lived not far from Nowy Korczyn, and they decided to come over to Nowy Korczyn and to say goodbye to my grandparents, because my grandfather from Auschwitz, that was on my father's side, knew more people in his area, and he told us to come, so we should be able to find a Polish house that might take us in. My grandfather looked directly into my mother's eyes. My mother looked like a real gentlewoman. If you look at this page, this is a picture of mine with my mother after the war. She had natural blonde hair, like I have natural blonde hair now, because it's not blonde, it's gray. And she was the woman that never gave up and never gave in, but did anything that's possible and impossible to save her daughter. Why? My grandfather looked at her and said to her, Róża, you have to save Hanale, because Hanale is the future of our Jewish race. Don't let anybody touch her. My mother looked at him and said, I will do my best. And by the way, you should never pay attention if your husband survives. That was a very strange request from a Jewish father-in-law, but later on in life, my mother explained it to me, so I understood it. We said goodbye, and we went to Auschwitz. And in Auschwitz, we went to my grandparents, and my grandfather had a few addresses that we could obtain, maybe a hiding place by some Polish people. The punishment if the people were found, the Jewish people were found in the house, was burning of the house and killing the owners. It was not an easy task to say yes, unless you were needy for money. My father went to 5 Polish people that my grandfather knew. Nobody said yes, except the 5th one said, yes, you can come in. On one condition you can come in, that if things are not safe, my neighbors will start being suspicious and looking after how much garbage and how much I buy, then you will have to go. We promised her this. She put us in she put us in a little corner under the barn where the horses were and where the food and the dirt of the horses. It was very, very small room. In that small room, we were 14 people, my father, my mother, my uncles, my aunts. And we were not allowed during the day to talk or to go to the bathroom. And my mother was a very bright and courageous woman. She all the time talked to me and she said, Hanale, you cannot be afraid. You are a grown-up person and you have to be very, very quiet and not to be seen and not to be hurt. If anybody hurts you, you just be quiet, because this is how I hope we can survive. My grandfather, when we left his house, said the same thing to my father and mother, that my mother should save me and only me and not pay attention to her, to my father. We stayed there for a while. The Polish woman was kind to us. We were kind to her money-wise. She needed the money. And one day at night, she comes in and she said, I am very sorry, but you have to leave. We had no choice whatsoever. We decided that we are going to leave at night towards the morning, and between the woman's place and the place that the Germans collected the Jews to the ghetto, there was a no man's land, like a quarter of a mile, and that quarter of a mile, if you were attacked or killed or shot by anybody, nobody would have protected you. You were in no man's land and they could do with you anything you wanted. But we lucked out. Sometimes luck is a lot that helped us in surviving together with God. We lucked out and we went to the collecting place in the collection where they came. And in the mornings, the Germans came and collected all the Jews that went there and took us to Ghetto Krakow. In Ghetto Krakow, my grandparents were there, but we were told that they were already executed in the middle of in the center of the town, and they were killed. Some people that knew my grandparents told us that. Among us was my uncle that was an extremely, extremely bright man. And he was such a make-believe that he made from something nothing. He was absolutely a genius. One day he comes into the little room that we stayed and told my mother, listen, if you are ready, we get you clothes so you can look when you come out from the ghetto. When you sneak out from the ghetto, you will get clothes that you look like a Polish lady that goes on the tram. Would you do it? So she looked at him and she said, listen, I do anything that I can, that I will be able to keep my promise to my both parents and in-laws and to save my Hanale. I was the only child there. In the morning they went to work and I was told by my mother, don't open a door, don't come to the window, just stay under the bed until we come home. I was a little girl, all by myself in that little tiny room. It was very scary and very intimidating, and I was absolutely petrified, but my mother taught me not to do anything, and I had to act like a grown-up, and I did. I was quiet, I was under the bed, covered up so nobody could see me. My mother went in the morning to work and came in the afternoon, and meanwhile my uncle got clothes for me. And why did I need clothes? Because the clothes would have given us the opportunity, especially to my mother, to go outside the ghetto, to sneak out and get us false paper. Our name was Hanale Kleiner. We were supposed to change the name to Hanka Kozlowska. That's a typical Polish name. I snuck out, my mother snuck out, said goodbye to us, and I cried bitterly. Please don't go. So my mother said, don't cry. You are here with your father. You are here with your family. And I promise I will come back. She snuck out of the ghetto. And this woman, that is my mother, was strong as diamonds, stones. There didn't exist in her vocabulary, I cannot do it, I won't do it. It was always, yes, I will do it. She was a real hero. She snuck out of the ghetto, took the tram to go to the gentleman that made false papers. When she came up on the tram, a German officer got up, and my mother said that she almost died on the spot from fear because she thought that he recognized. No, she was an attractive blonde woman with blue eyes, and he told her, please have a seat, Fräulein, in German, Fräulein, nehmen Sie Platz bitte, and she thanked him. And the gentleman that was falsifying the papers was at the end of the station, and she waited until she got to him. She got to him, and he told her, young lady, to my mother, you have to stay overnight because otherwise I cannot finish 14 false papers. My mother got very scared. Who knows what he's going to do to her? But he was smart. He didn't do anything to her because if he would have harmed her and she wouldn't have come back, nobody would have sent him more customers. She came back, and when she saw me, she said, Hannele, did you see? I promised you, and I'm here. My uncle gave out the papers and found two people that took us over the bridge, over the outskirts of Krakow and over the outskirts of Poland on all the sidewalks and on all the where everybody could not see us. And we walked for days and nights, and there was no food. There was only water, dew from the leaves, and berries. We were on a very, very, very strict diet, and we survived. And one day we were not far from some place that we didn't know where we are. And my mother all the time said, don't worry, we will be okay. But this don't worry led to a development that one morning there was nobody next to us. They left us, we must have been asleep, and we were all in the middle of no place, and we did not know where we are. We looked around, we didn't see a soul, nobody. And we did not know what to do, but a few hours later, we saw from far a shepherd with his flock coming towards us. And we asked him with sign language that we are going to give him money if he takes us to a good, safe place. The good, safe place that he took us was the center of the German police in Romania. Romania was in contact, she was together against the Jews with the Germans. In this place, in Romania, our group was tortured, checked, beaten up, unless that we should admit that we are Jews and not, but nobody admitted. My mother came out black and blue because she looked like she looked like a Polish woman. And why is she telling them that she is Jewish? Isn't she ashamed to become Jewish because she's married to a Jew? She says, no, I am a Polish woman and my name is Kozlowska. They tortured us at least 4 days, 10 days, sorry. They tortured us. The torture was undescribable. My uncle, that was a tall, good-looking young man, came out with it behind blue and white from that he said that he is Jewish, that he is Polish. They didn't know what to do with us because they were not allowed to kill us. So they put us on the train and we went to Hungary on the train. In Hungary, we obtained Polish papers. I was a little girl and I was sent by my parents to the gendarmes to ask for papers, and they gave us papers, and very shortly after that, Germany took over Hungary and we were collected and put in a prison in Budapest. In that prison, we were put in a prison and we were picked up by a German manager of the prison, and he was white like a piece of paper, and he came to my mother and said, I am going to help you. My mother got scared again. Who knows how he's going to help us? But he was a Wehrmacht officer between the Germans that are very loyal to Hitler was the SS, and the Wehrmacht was more or less on the side of the people. So when he saw us, excuse me 1 second. When he saw us that we resemble his wife and child, he really helped us. Thanks to him, we survived. Whenever came a new transport of Jews for Hungary, he put our papers underneath and didn't send us to Auschwitz. Because from that prison, you went directly to Auschwitz, and going to Auschwitz, it was going on a cattle cart, and the cattle cart was as bad as Auschwitz itself, but even worse. My mother all the time brainwashed me and told me, don't worry, we will survive, we will survive. We promised the grandparents. My mother said, I'm your mommy, I'm going to help you. The officer, one day we looked around and he wasn't here, and my mother was gutsy enough and went to ask where he is, and she was told that he was sent to the Russian border, where all the Germans that are not really obedient go to the border, and on the border he was killed because he was too good to the Jews. But thanks to him that he hid the papers, we were sent to Auschwitz in a very late date. At that time, they did not anymore, we did not know them, they did not anymore kill the children, because there was a rumor that the Germans did not kill all the Jews, especially not all the children. We came to Auschwitz. Coming to Auschwitz, at the entrance, we were all divided into two. The women with the children in one side, and the men on the other side. At this place, there was, at this place, there was a whole line in a big barrack, that they were tattooing the numbers. My mother, because my number was tattooed in with a dirty needle, saved my life, because she was all the time putting cold water, and I had a very high fever that was almost to die. But what my mother did, it was unbelievable. We were put in a barrack number 18, that means l'chaim, to life. And my mother went every morning at 5 o'clock to work, and each time she said goodbye to us, to me, and all the time she said, I will be back, and if I'm not back, somebody will take care of you. I was left in a big, long barrack. Nobody was there except me, the rats, and the mice. The rats were my friends, and the mice were my entertaining. At the beginning, when they came out, when everybody left, I got very scared because they were as hungry as I was, and I thought I'm going to be their next meal, but it didn't happen so. My mother came back and was always my mother came back and always was very happy to see me and to see that I survived a whole day by myself. And the people in the barrack in Auschwitz, everybody was very hungry, very mean, and very looking out for himself. But because I was the only child in that barrack, that they saw the future in me, when my mother came back, they let us go to get the food, the first, in order to get some better food. And what was the soup? Rotten potatoes, very old bread, and water. But we were allowed to go first because then we got more. And my mother, at night, there was on the door a sign that says, if you leave the barrack, you're going to be killed. But my mother snuck out every night. I spoke to her and I asked her, Mommy, don't go, you're going to be killed. No, I have to go. If you die from hunger, it's going to be my fault. And she really had a friend in the next barrack that worked in the kitchen. And this woman used to steal, that also by stealing, her life was in danger. But she used to steal in order to get me some more food. Thank God she never got caught. She came back, and the next day was the same thing. What is a day in Auschwitz? A day in Auschwitz, everybody goes to work, and then they come home, and you are home. And then you are allowed to go for a walk. My mother went once with me for a walk and passed by the crematorium, and the crematorium was smelling from human flesh. But my mother tried once to lie, and she said, Hannah, I said, what is the smell here? So Mommy said, this is the smell of they are burning rubbers. The people in the neighborhood heard her and almost attacked her. Why are you lying? They are burning Jewish people. So my mother said, look, I couldn't not tell it to you, But because I thought they are really burning people, and if we are going to be long enough here, who knows what's going to happen to us. She treated me like equal. She didn't lie to me, and everything was the truth and only the truth. Okay. One day, my mother had a ring finger that was infected. And my mother said to me, Hanale, you stay here, and I'm going to the infirmary in order to be treated. I said, no, I am coming with you. You are always with me. I want to go with you. So I went with her. We went to the infirmary, and in the infirmary was a Jewish German woman, and my mother showed her the finger, and she said, the only thing that I can do to you, I will chop off the finger. My mother looked at me like nothing happened and said, okay, but Hanale, you go out. I said, I'm not going anyplace. I am going to stay here and hold your hand. She fought with me for a minute, but she saw that it's a lost battle, daughter like mother or mother like daughter. And she gave her the finger, she chopped it off and looked at me with a smile and said, Hanale, you see, it didn't hurt me. It's nothing. Her face was white like the sheet. But her courage and her good disposition kept me alive because she gave me hope. Maybe, maybe, maybe. And in Auschwitz, we all lived on maybe. This was not a camp. This was hell on earth. One other time, there was a appel, and they invited Dr. Mengele to come to do his magic finger. Right, left. The left was to die, and the right was to wait another time. He came after 3 hours that all the women stood naked in the rain and looked around and touched each one. At least 30% of the women that were in the barrack were sent to be burned. And he came close to my mother and looked at her and he said, your skin still looks, I will come and get you another time. Thank God he couldn't, because the war came to an end. He didn't come again. But me, the little girl, was pasted to her tie and didn't say a word. When he was next to my mother, you and nobody in this world can imagine what a fear ran through my veins. They are going to kill my mother. But it didn't work. There were rumors in Auschwitz that the Russians are winning and the Germans are losing. And the rumors went on. And one day, my mother looked up where all the guards on the top were looking at the camp. There were no guards. There was nobody there. The camp was open. And my mother, not thinking a lot of it, she says, Hanale, let's get out of here before we get caught. We got out and we were in a big field. In that field, we ran and we heard from far the Russian, and the noises of the Russian soldiers were very unfriendly. We all looked like Muslims. Muslim is a human being that is skin and bones. And we were very afraid that they would do something to us. But here comes God again. In the middle of the field, we fell into a bunker, and we stayed in that bunker for 3 days until it was completely quiet. We got out and we went to the main road, and at the main road, a Polish guy stopped his car and said if we need to go to someplace. We said, yes, we would love to go if you would be kind enough to tell us to take us to Krakow. We did not know and were not aware what a danger we put ourselves, because after the war in Poland, a lot of Jewish people got killed for no reason, for one reason. The reason was that they were Jews. But this guy took us to Krakow and led us on the main street. The name of the street was a long street, and my mother went like 3 blocks, and she bumped into her friends that used to get us bread and a little bit of food for me in Auschwitz. And the woman said to her, Hanale and Ruja, I am taking you in. I have half a room, you can have it. My mother was very happy. The next day, my mother went to a collection agency that collected information of people that survived any place. My father, we couldn't find him. When we came there one day, there was a woman from my mother's town, came out and said to my mother, Ruja, don't look for your family. Your family, all of them were killed during the war. My mother's face became yellow and white, and the sadness of the news was with my mother until my little sister was born after the war. She never forgot it, the way the woman said it, but there was no other way. People were hard like stone. People had no feelings. People were lonely. People were terrible what happened to the human race. Meantime, my father was freed in Dachau. Dachau is in Germany, and it was a camp in Dachau. And my daughter said, I'm not talking loud enough. No. I know, I cannot. My father was afraid to go to Poland to realize that we are not alive. So he sat day in like 6 weeks after the war at the train station and was looking for who is coming from Poland. Looking for who is coming from Poland. One day, a Jew, a friend of my father, came from Auschwitz, and he used to be a big bluffer. And he said to my father, Mordechai, why are you here? Ruja and Hanale are in Poland. Oh, come on, don't lie to me like you always did. He said, no, I really mean it this time. They are there. So my father says, if they are there, where are they? They live on Długa ulica. They live on the long street. Like if somebody would give you today an address, 5th Avenue, no number. So my father collected all his things, what he had, went to Krakow and started at number 1. And for 3 weeks, he went from one floor to another, until on the 4th week, on the 6th floor on Długa ulica, he found his wife and his daughter. But when he was looking for his wife and his daughter, he was looking for a Mrs. Kozlowska, not for Mrs. Kleiner, because at that time they still killed Jews. My father came in, found my mother, and she fainted from happiness, from fear. And that night I was out of the room, and they were lived happily ever after. From there, we immigrated to Israel, I started school in Israel and went to a Jewish school and a religious school, and was happily ever after. After many years, after school and everything else, I met my lovely husband, and unfortunately, he died 8 years ago. And we had 2 wonderful, wonderful daughters. Who doesn't brag about his own children? I don't. And I have 3 grandchildren, and I thank the Jewish Federation for allowing me to take part and to spread the Holocaust story that is not to be ever forgotten, and we should only be happy. And that's about it. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm just sharing a few of your pictures if everyone can see the screen. These are Hannah's parents that fortunately, as you just heard, the beautiful story, were able to survive and live a beautiful life together. And here is Hannah and her husband.
No, that's Hannah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right?
sorry.
Okay. And her daughters. And her 3 grandchildren. Her family today. And then here, Hannah, do you want to tell them a little bit about visiting Auschwitz with your family?
Yes, please. In 2005, we took a trip to Poland and Romania to get our roots. This picture is in the entrance to Auschwitz, that on the top is written, Arbeit macht frei. That means work makes you free. Sure, it kills you, so you are free. So here are my children and my grandchildren. And it was a very nice trip, if you can call it nice. My grandson, that is today 28, came to me and he said, you know, Sapta, you are A-okay. You know, I will never forget it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for sharing this story with us. It is an incredible story of survival. We have maybe only a minute or 2 for questions. If someone wants to put a question in the chat, or else you can always email us and we can get to Hannah and get your questions asked. So I'll give everyone a second if there is a question.
Here.
You can
Alvin, I'm going to separate
okay, you can stay muted, everyone, and just type in the chat if you have a question.
There is somebody else there, Yuval, right? That wanted to ask a question. He's from California. Can you let him ask?
He can. It's not coming up in the chat what his question is.
I think the chat is all private.
Somebody asked, okay, hold on. How old were you when the war began?
I was born in 36, so the war began in 38 to 39.
And then how old were you when you arrived at Auschwitz? So
I am very bad with dates.
yeah, so probably about, because you got there, you arrived in 44, so you were probably about 8 or 9.
Correct, 8.
8, okay. We're getting a lot of sharing to you, to thank you for sharing your story and how many you've impacted thousands of children and how wonderful it is to share your story.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I appreciate your.
So I want to thank everyone again thank everybody again for joining us today. And I also want to share with you our Holocaust Council chairs, Rebecca Lebetkin and Isabella Fisk, that are just going to say a word of thank you before we sign out.
I want to thank the 3 of you, how great you are. And who is it? It's Stacy, Elise, and Jamie. You were great, you encouraged me, and I'm very proud to be part of you. All the best. And whenever you need anything, you can call. Bye.
Thank you. Okay.
And thank you to Hannah Wexler. I'm Rebecca Lubetkin. And for sharing your story, and for our audience for joining with us on our first ever Zoom format. This pandemic has had an unexpected benefit for Survivor Speaks. As you've heard, we spend most of our time in schools and in other institutions like museums, but this was a chance to share with a much larger audience. I think we had 200 some. It's far larger than anything that I've experienced with Survivor Speaks. So it's a wonderful new opportunity, and I hope you'll join us again. Coming up soon on July 13th is our virtual book club, and you'll be getting more details shortly. So until then, thank you and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hannah, I love you.
Love you too.
We think you're just absolutely perfect.
Thank you so much.
Only is the rabbi's mother.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Hannah. Thank you.
Mrs. Wexler.
Thank you,
Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Keep positive like your mom.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you,
Thank
Hannah.
you, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
See you soon.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you,
Stay well.
Love you. Thank you so much, Hannah. We love you.
Stay well.
Love from Florida. Yes.
Hello.
Hannah, thank you so much for pouring your heart out.
Oh, that's the singer.
Singer from here.
Yes.
Oh, when are you coming home?
In July.
Okay.
Friends.
I wanted to sell your apartment.
If you want to move in, please, I'll give you the keys.
Oh, thank you.
Hannah, it's a pleasure to see you.
The same here.
It's more than a pleasure.
Thank you for
sharing that with us.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
you look as beautiful as ever.
Yeah, you're beautiful inside and outside.
Thank you.
That's right.
Ashena Meidele, sehr
That's
schön.
right.
I don't believe everything.
Thank you, Elise, for
Don't
putting
let-
it together.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you, Mrs. Wexler. I'm a former student of yours.
Who is that?
Well, my name is Robin Hiller, and you were my Hebrew school teacher at Temple B'nai Israel. And I was overjoyed to find you. And I remember you telling us stories. And you're just amazing, amazing woman.
Thank you.
And we wish you well, and we hope you have nothing but good luck from now on in.
Thank you so much, and I love you.
I love you very much.
We love you.
Bye.
Thank you for sharing.
Carry
Thank you.
the beautiful legacy that your mother has given you of being positive in your life.
My mother was something else.
That's beautiful. Well, you are too.
My grandson, I asked him, whom do you love the most? Your mother.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Angela. And Roland is here.
Hello.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. That was beautiful.
Yes,
We miss you very much.
yes.
You're coming home next week, no?
We're coming home on the 29th of July.
We don't know if we'll let you in.
I know, you're right. Oh, look,
Oh, hi there.
Diane.
Diane, yeah.
Hi.
Elizabeth, hi.
Hi.
Daughter.
Emotional.
Anna, thank you for helping us in the community.
Where are others?
Yeah.
Who spoke?
That's Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hiya. Hannah, thank you for helping us in the community. I wish we could have done it quicker, but you told us what to do and we did it. We love you.
Thank you so much. Do I know you?
Tony.
You?
Tony Russo.
Russo.
The mailboxes?
Yes, the mailboxes, my dear.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm happy you listened.
Hannah,
Yes.
nobody would not listen to you.
Anna, you're a blessing to us all.
Don't give her such a swelled head, please.
Thank you, Hannah, for everyone.
Who are you?
Barbara Ray.
Val Pierce. That's Diane Rader.
You, Val Pierce? I'm coming to your wedding.
Went to. Oh, it wasn't? Okay, it's okay.
Who's getting married?
I am not.
You're not.
No.
Huh?
I was married once to the best guy. Elizabeth, smile.
She's not
Anna?
smiling.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to sing a song for you.
Oh, wonderful.
Ich hab dich zu viel lieb, zu trug auf dir kein Hals. Ich hab dich zu viel lieb, zu sein auf dir in Hals. Ich hab dich zu viel lieb, zu trug auf dir Gorbes. Oh, na, ich weiß, ich hab dir lieb.
Ich hab dich
Hab dir mein Leben weggegeben, mein Herz und meine Schamme. Ich bin krank, nur mein Gedank tragt nie keine Komme. I love you oh so much. I meant it from the start, but now our love is such I can't control my heart. Abi gesund. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was beautiful.
So
beautiful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. I miss you.
We love you.
We all love you.
Okay. I'm going to forget that from all the...
תודה רבה, חנה.
תמר. אתה?
יריב פירס.
אני ידעתי שזה אתה.
כן.
מה נשמע?
הכל בסדר.
אתה חתיך לאללה.
תודה. Thank you.
זה אמת.
אמת.
Bye. Stay healthy. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Yep.
All
Stay
the
healthy,
best.
Hannah.
Thank you for
Bye.
all your attention, and let's be strong.
And get through this.
We will get through this.
We will. We will. And maybe we'll be even better.
We will be better.
Okay.
And we will still go to the best restaurants that you recommend.
All right.
Right away, food.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're going to end the meeting now, but I'm thrilled that you were all able to join us and see each other, and we look forward to seeing you in another program soon. We'll talk to you soon, Hannah. Thank you.
The next programs that we make, we should get some money.
Okay.
Not any money.
Thank you, Anna. Well, you know, if anybody would like to make a donation in your honor, you know where to reach me. Tell them.
Good. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so you tell everybody, and then they'll get in touch with me, and we'll make it happen.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hannah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.